Hello and welcome to Apex Online Assetto Corsa Competizione Season 4. This is round 9 for Tier 7 and there's at Laguna Seca in California. This is the championship decider, with both the drivers and the team's championship being decided in this final race of the season. Moving on to the drivers' championship, Conor McCarthy comes into this round in first position following his third place at Zandvoort in Holland. However, his 3 first places over the season will put him in a strong position to take the championship for this season. In second place is Nils Nins, just 57 points behind, who's had a couple of difficult races in the previous 2 rounds, both at Bathurst and in his home track at Zandvoort in Holland. He's going to have to make the most of the opportunities presented in tonight's race if he's to take the championship away from Conor. In third place in the championship is Manuel Dukes, who's risen rapidly up the table following successes in the previous 3 rounds of Misano, Bathurst and Zandvoort with his first victory. If he can make the most of the opportunities presented this evening, it's possible for him to overtake Nils. However, it will be extremely challenging for him to overtake Conor McCarthy and take the championship. Both Nils and Manuel are looking towards Conor to have a bad evening if they are to move up the table and dislodge him from the first place, upon which he's had a stranglehold for most of the season. In fourth place is Paul Martin, right behind his teammate Manuel Dukes in Team Gently Bentley. Paul capitalised last time out with some bad results for some of the other drivers at Zandvoort. In fifth place is Danny Winsper, who had a very difficult time at Zandvoort last time out, finishing in 20th place, causing him to slip right down the table. He'll be looking to reverse that situation today. In sixth place is Sullivan Barr, a driver who's struggled on occasion this season with a 13th and a 16th place, but when he's not struggling, he's right at the front with a first place, 2 second places and a third. However, what's cost him in the championship overall is 2 non-stars. In 7th place is Stephen Bezic, a driver who'll suffer the most under the rule by which your worst result is removed. Stephen's had pretty consistent results all season and is rarely outside the top 10, but with his worst finish being a 14th, it means he loses a lot of points if that result is taken away from him. Stephen will need a strong drive tonight and should really be aiming for the top 5 is to retain his 7th place on the championship, if not move up further. 8th place is Domi64, another driver who slipped down the table last time out when he was unable to participate in the Zandvoort race. As he's always a strong finisher, we can expect him to have a good result tonight and move himself back up the championship table. In 9th place is Kieran Wilson, another driver who had a difficult time at Zandvoort and was unable to complete the race. Again, that cost him dear and he slipped a long way down the table. As Danny is also one of the drivers that often finishes in a reasonably good position, we can expect him to try and put a strong performance in tonight to try and move back up the table. In 10th place on the Drivers' Championship table is Alex Marquez, who had a decent drive last round at Zandvoort with an 8th place. However, Alex is normally just outside the top 10, and he'll have to be wary of another result like that tonight if he wishes to retain his position inside the top 10 finishers for this season. Moving on to the Teams Championship, Team Gently Bentley had good results for both team members last time out at Zandvoort, finally dislodging Beeswax Racing from their grip on the first place in the championship, which they've held on to all season. The gap between both teams is still quite small, so all 4 drivers will be looking for good results tonight. So drivers to watch out for tonight will be Manuel Dukes, Paul Martin, Nils Nins and Steve Bezic. In 3rd place is Visually Impaired Racing. With 2nd place out of reach with the amount of points available, they'll be looking to consolidate that 3rd place in the podium and keep Aston Martin Racing and Generations Racing at bay. In 6th place is Simulation, and their best hope for tonight is to try and dislodge one of the teams above them and move a little bit further up the championship in the last round. Tonight's round at Laguna Seca will take place in warm and sunny weather with a very high track temperature. This is going to affect the tyres, so tyre management for all drivers is going to be key. Additionally, the track's quite technical, it's very dusty, has got very high sausage curves on most corners. Any small mistake, your car usually spins out. Let's see how our drivers perform in the very last round of Season 4. And let's join our pole sitter Conor McCarthy for a flying lap of Laguna Seca. Just crossing the start-finish line there, and straight through the slight kink of turn 1 and approaching T2, the double apex hairpin. On the original circuit we would have gone on a 90-degree turn at turn 2 and picked up turn 5 in a second or two. However, on the current circuit, it's accelerate down into turn 3, a tricky late apex right-hander, then foot down, being careful not to touch the sand, just lift slightly into turn 4, and it's down on the throttle again, up to turn 5, where the original track would have joined us on the right-hand side. Connell makes an early turn into turn 5, picks up the throttle, goes up the hill, and will brake just under the bridge for turn 6. And it's the turn up the hill towards the corkscrew. And usually braking just as you reach the curb on the right hand side, down to first gear and into the corkscrew itself, down the dip, pick up the throttle, come down off the corkscrew into the rain of curves, feather the throttle to be sure not to spin the car out, and accelerate towards the easy right hander of turn 10. Accelerate past the pit lane entry, and it's into the very difficult turn 11, very tight left-hander, very difficult to get the braking spot right without overshooting the corner. And it's accelerating down the start-finish straight to cross the line with a 1:23.19 to take pole position for tonight's race. So qualifying in first place, it's Conal McCarthy in his Lamborghini. Alongside him is Nils Nins in his McLaren 720S racing for Beeswax Racing. On row 2, it's Suleiman Barr alongside Danny Winspur. On row 3, Manuel Dukes alongside Kieran Wilson. On row 4, it's Alex Marquez alongside Domi64. On row 5, it's Kukulov Eugene alongside Dominic Hees. Row 6 is Paul Martin alongside Blanguy Murphy. Row 7, it's David Daly alongside Stephen Bezic. Row 8 is Tyler Sorg alongside Thomas Legrand. Row 9 is Edward Crawford alongside Oscar Memisoglu. Row 10 is Steve Allen alongside Bernard George, and bringing up the end of the field on row 11 it's Nikolai Kravnichuk alongside Robert Brakiewicz. And we join the field just as they've crossed the start finish line, and Conal McCarthy has capitalised on his pole position and is already pulling away in front. Barr has cut the inside of Nins, who slipped back to third, Barr taking second place. And close behind Nins, it's Winspur and Dukes. All drivers jostling for position on the first row. Nins has pulled away slightly from Dukes, but he'll be wanting to close in on McCarthy. The championship battle between the pair of them very tight, and Dukes is currently in third position. Will also be looking for points and trying to get ahead of his rivals in today's race. We're already round turn 5 and climbing up the hill towards turn 6 underneath the bridge. And they'll be approaching the corkscrew for the first time in anger. 90 minutes on this track, very difficult track, very challenging to not make a mistake and go off. And it's on lap 2 already, and it's Crawford attacking Legrand in his Porsche. Crawford getting a good exit, good overspeed, looks like he's going to get up the inside of Legrand. Yeah, Legrand goes wide, Crawford takes the position and slides in front. That'll gain Crawford 12th position, pushing Legrand down into 13th. And we're on lap 2 with McCarthy still up ahead of the race with Barr just behind him. Oh, and Barr's just shot off. That was turn 6. Didn't make the corner. That leaves McCarthy with quite a gap now back to Nins. McCarthy just coming into the corkscrew. And he loses the rear end of the car and he spears straight off his track into the barriers. He's now waiting for the rest of the field to come through. How far back is McCarthy going to be? This is not what he needed just on lap 2 of the race. It's going to pace him well down the field and leave him with a quite a challenge, but his challenge he's risen to before. McCarthy having started from the back of the field on occasion and picked up places. So he's underway again, and we'll see when he leaves the sector whereabouts he's ended up in the race. Again, McCarthy needs to have an utter disaster of a race and really be finishing almost last to lose the championship. So I'm sure he's not worried too much, but at the moment that's put him down in P9. But he's been in worse positions than this, and he's got a whole 90 minutes ahead of him because it's right at the start of the race. Lap 5 with Saab coming up on Kravchenok into the corkscrew. The trees interfering with our view, but it looks like Kravchenok had a bit of a bad exit from the corkscrew. Sorg had much better speed on the inside. Takes the position, pulls in front and pulls away. And we join Nins and Dukes on lap 5. Drivers in first and second place now, following the mishaps to befall Barr and McCarthy. Dukes making an attack up the inside into turn 11. Does well, brakes well, gets the inside line and takes the position from Nins, moves into first place. Just what he needs for his championship table hopes. Nins is still there, still hanging in. They've been through the kink of T1 and they're approaching T2. Nins has got the inside line for the hairpin. He holds it, he keeps the position and Dukes is forced out wide. Nins regains his first position into T3. Yes, he's still held onto it, he's still in front. But Dukes is right behind him, and in close proximity is Wilson, Winspur and Barr, all waiting for a mistake from either one of these two. Dukes is having another look into T5, but Nins has got the inside line and holds it. Forces Dukes to stay behind, climbing up the hill towards T6, underneath the gantry. Swings right up the hill towards the crest and brakes for the corkscrew. Looks like Nins has held onto that place for the time being, but Dukes is clearly not going to be prepared to give up yet. Lap 7, and it's Barr on Wilson. This is at the front of the field, so this is for 4th and 5th place. Wilson currently in 4th. Barr gets the inside line for turn 2, the double apex hairpin. Should have the advantage coming out of the corner. And looks like he's taken that place. Looks like Barr's up into 4th. Wilson pushed down into 5th. Lap 9, and we're with Hees, who's attacking Thomas Legrand in his Porsche 911. Hees in the McLaren 720S GT3. Looks like Hees has got the better exit there, gets a better line onto the inside of the next corner. Legrand is offline without the best traction, and Hees moves through comfortably to take that position. That will promote Hees up into 11th place. We're at lap 11 with Manuel Dukes attacking Kieran Wilson into the corkscrew. Looks like Wilson goes wide, overshoots. Dukes gets the inside line, sticks to the track, gets much better traction and takes that place. That'll put Dukes up into 3rd place, but he needs a win tonight if he's to take the championship fight towards Nins, and Nins is currently in the lead. So Dukes still has a job to do. 2 more places to make up to try and take the fight all the way up to Nins at the front. Lap 13, and we're with Paul Martin, who's just about to attack Edward Crawford, coming up into turn 6 underneath the bridge. Coming up towards the corkscrew. And Crawford's off the track there, must have overshot on turn 6, so an easy pass for Paul Martin in the end. Martin wanting points tonight, both for the Drivers' Championship to move back up the table following a slide down the table last week, and also for the Teams Championship. He's looking to come ahead of Bezic tonight, and Bezic's currently down in 15th. Lap 16 with Blind Guy Morphy, who's also attacking Crawford. Oh, Crawford had a bit of a rear end slide there. Morphy saw his opportunity. Looks like they may have slightly brushed wing mirrors as Morphy goes through, but he's got much better traction and speed, so Morphy takes that place. That moves Morphy up into 9th place and pushes Crawford down into 10th. Crawford going off there in the background. As described earlier on, very difficult track. It's lap 21 and Sorg's about to attack Dominic Hees. They've just come round turn 10 and are approaching turn 11. Hees takes the outside line, but Sorg takes the inside line, the more aggressive line. Gets the undercut on the corner and comes out first, but with Hees taking a wider line as he got more speed and better traction out that corner. They're side by side all the way down the start-finish straight. They've been round T1, the kink, and they're approaching the double apex hairpin bend of T2, and Hees is well ahead by the time they reach the apex. Looked like Hees took that position back. Lap 22 and Blind Guy Morphy attacking Paul Martin. Martin goes wide, is onto the marbles. Morphy stays on the track, gets much better traction around the kink of T1 and approaching the double apex T2. Morphy's comfortably in front and Martin steps 1 place further behind down into P9. Morphy takes P8. Lap 29 and McCarthy's coming up on Crawford. McCarthy a little bit down the field. This must be after his pit stop. McCarthy looking for a way through on turn 11, but it looks like Crawford's gone wide, making it an easy pass. And it's down the start, finish straight. And McCarthy gains that position and moves into 12th place. Lap 30, and it's Morphy coming up on Domi 64. Just on the start finish straight and approaching turn 2 with a double apex hairpin. Morphy carrying a lot of speed, undercuts Domi 64 but carries too much speed, runs wide. Domi 64 takes the corner at a steadier pace. Morphy recovers to the track, but briefly went in front, but does not retain that place. Morphy stays in P7, Domi retains his position in P6. Lap 32, and we're following Domi 64 now, coming through onto the start finish straight. Don't be distracted by Memisoglu there, he's further down the field. And just to our left, we'll see Nils Nins just coming out of the pits. Who's going to win the race? Domi's going to get all the way around turn 2 with a double apex corner, but Nils is trapped trying to get out the pit exit road, which is very slow, and Domi takes the position there coming out the pits. So Domi moves into P3, Nins down into P4, still ahead of Dukes, an important position he needs to retain for the championship. And lap 34, it's Dukes against Sorg. Sorg on the outside there of looks to be turn 2. Dukes takes an inside line for turn 3, gets much better exit speed, and has the inside line for the next turn as well, which will leave Sorg hung out to dry. Dukes moves ahead, and that will put Dukes up into 4th place, right behind his main rival for the championship, Nils Nins. Looks like to be about a 15-second gap there to be closed up though. Lap 36, and it's Nins against Wilson. This will be for the lead of the race, and at this late stage into the race, this could be a critical pass. Nins gets a much better exit speed, coming up to the corkscrew, takes the inside line. Wilson's wide, and Nins goes through and takes the position on the corkscrew. Good pass. That puts Nins into 1st place and lead of a race. Lap 37, and he's attacking Martin. This is for P10 and P11. Martin goes wide, leaves the door open for Hees, who takes the inside line and gets a position. And just in the background, it's Steve Bezic. Martin and Bezic, both rivals in primarily the team championship, with Nils needing to finish ahead of Dukes and Bezic ideally finishing ahead of Martin to help secure the team championship prize. Lap 39, and it's Alan and Legrand. This was a battle between 3 drivers, George, Alan and Legrand, that took place for almost the whole of the second half of this race. We're just seeing a small snippet now. Looks like Alan's holding on to that position, but all 3 drivers were swapping position all the way through the second half of the race. And we pick up on lap 39, and Wilson still in hot pursuit of Nins, trying to chase him down and retake that place. Wilson after the maximum points to move himself up the championship table. He's not going to be too interested in Nins' issues with regards to the championship overall. Just 0.9 of a second between them now. Oh, but Wilson's caught the curb. Has bounced his car straight off the track. And to make things worse, Sorg's come around the corner, too late to see him, and has caught the front of his car. That's caused a significant amount of damage. So instead of being just a fraction of a second behind Nins now, what's the damage going to be? We'll find out as we go through the next sector marker. 7.5 seconds. With not much longer left in the race, that's a big ass to close down for over 7 seconds when both drivers were showing very much the same pace. Lap 53, and it's George attacking Legrand. Again, this is the freeway battle that took place for many laps between Alan, Legrand and George. George getting a much better speed there over Legrand. Side by side, George cuts across for the corkscrew, but overshoots himself, goes wide into the gravel trap, and Legrand will take that place back. We'll have to try again next time round, George. And lap 57, Winspur attacking Dukes. Dukes with more to lose than Winspur. Winspur will be looking to regain places on the championship that he lost after last week. And looks like Dukes has got a good line there into what looks T2, the double apex hairpin. Good exit speed, and Dukes drops back 1 place. Winspur into 3rd, Dukes down to 4th. Lap 59, and Dukes coming back at Winspur. This is on the approach to the corkscrew. Underneath the banner, braking hard, and into the top of the corkscrew down the steep incline. Dukes doesn't appear to have enough speed there to get past Winspur. So unless Winspur makes a mistake, can't see how Dukes is going to get that position in this certain sequence. Lap 57, and it's George attacking Legrand. We're just coming through the corkscrew. We've got Domi 64 right behind George. Now, Domi is a lap up, but Legrando has a bit of a slip there in the middle of the Reina curve. And George slips through, and Domi 64 goes through as well, but he'll have blue flags, so George really needs to be moving aside to let the race leaders go through. Domi's down in 7th place, and will be keen to get up the road to try and attract McCarthy. There won't be long left in the race now. Lap 59, and it's Morphy against Sorg. This is for 8th and 9th position. Morphy currently in 8th. Sorg coming up behind into turn 2. Sorg takes an ambitious line up the inside, and Morphy just takes his line, and they come together. Slight touch. Sorg backs out to let Morphy pull away, and it looks like those positions remain the same. Morphy on for a decent result tonight with a P8 looking likely on the cards this far into the race. It's lap 60, and Sorg attacking blind guy Morphy again. And Morphy's gone wide. He was on, just as we're saying, he's on for a P8. He goes wide and lets Sorg through. That'll push Morphy down to P9. And there isn't long left in the race for Morphy to try and get back and take that position back again. And we're coming up to a race finish. We're with Nils Nins, who's done everything he can for the championship tonight. First place is definitely what he required, but we needed McCarthy to be coming way down the field, well into the teens, at least 14th or 15th place at least. It's not going to happen. McCarthy's currently in 6th position, so Nils will just have to settle for a second win this season. He's second in Assetto Corsa Competizione in the GT3 class. Wilson comes across the line in 2nd place. Good effort by Wilson, but not enough in the end to take the victory away from Nins. And we're joining Conal McCarthy coming on to his final lap. He's down in 6th place, but he's done enough to take the championship this season. Season 4 ACC GT3 Championship goes to Conal McCarthy for Tier 7. Done in some style with a number of victories along the way and a string of 2nd and 3rd places. Never very far from the front and always a very quick driver. So let's take a look at the official final results for round 9. In 1st place is Nils Nins, scoring maximum points, but unlikely to be enough for the Drivers' Championship. It looks like this time Conal McCarthy may have won out over the whole of the season. In 2nd place is Kieran Wilson, scoring a good result following his disappointment from last week. And in 3rd place is Danny Winspur, also scoring a good result. Manuel Dukes comes in 4th, unable to do enough this evening to dislodge Nils from 2nd place in the championship, but should have solidified his 3rd place. Alex Marks comes in 5th, a very good result which should move him up from 10th place on the Drivers' Championship. As we observed at the end of the race, Conal McCarthy finished in 6th place, scoring 65 points, which is more than enough to move him clear of the threat from Nils, and he will take away the Drivers' Championship for Season 4. Domi 64 comes in 7th place. A solid result, but not really enough to move him substantially up the Drivers' Championship table. Tyler Sorg finished 8th, a decent result, but I'm not sure he'll get inside the top 10 in the final race of the season, having joined us a few races in, and therefore losing out on points opportunities. Morphy finishes in 9th, another good finish, and scoring himself some valuable points. Dominic Heath, after a strong drive, finishes in 10th place. Paul Martin finishes in 11th, with Steve Bezic in 12th. That could have a critical impact on the team championship, with a small margin of points separating both teams. Edward Crawford finishes in 13th place. Steve Allen, Thomas Legrand and Bernard George is the order in which their half race long battle finished. So Steve Allen came out on top this evening. If those three drivers are in the same league next season, we'll have to see if the same battle is resumed. Eugene came in 17th place and reported afterwards that he'd had disconnection issues during the race, which pushed him a lap down when he reconnected to the game. Nikolai Kravnichok finished in 18th, Oskar Memisoglu just behind him. Robert Brakovic was in 20th. Suleiman Bar was witnessed several times at the side of a road and may well have been suffering some form of technical issue, but was unable to finish the race. And also David Daly was unable to reach the end of the course. So looking at the final results for the Drivers' Championships, Conal McCarthy is confirmed as Drivers' Champion for Season 4 of Assetto Corsa Competizione GT3 for Tier 7. In second place is Nils Nins, who went down fighting with a first place, but those difficult results in the previous two rounds at Bathurst and Zandvoort really scuppered his chances to take the fight all the way to the end to Conal. Confirming his place on the podium is Manuel Dukes, who came in third place. Today, a finish in fourth was not quite enough, but with the super strong drive from Nils, even the first and second combination with Dukes winning would not have been enough for him to take the championship. Danny Winspur moved right back up the table with a good result today in third place and finishes in fourth. And Kieran Wilson with an even stronger finish, getting second place, managed to bring himself back up to fifth on the table. Domi 64, sixth place. And Paul Martin, unfortunately due to the penalties imposed by removing each driver's worst result, slips from a potential fifth place if he'd retained all his points down to seventh. Alex Marks did do well in this last race, and his fifth place result has pulled him up 2 places from 10th to 8th in the Drivers' Championship. And Suleiman Bar, despite his issues and unable to finish, has scored so well in races he did finish that he finishes 9th overall in the championship. And unfortunately, Stephen Bezic is demoted from a potential 9th down to 10th due to losing his worst result being just a P14. That loses him quite a number of points and pushes him down behind Suleiman Bar. But congratulations to Conal, Drivers' Champion for Season 4. Finally, moving on to the Teams' Championship, Team Gently Bentley do confirm their place as Team Champions for Season 4 Assetto Corsa GT3 Tier 7. Just 14 points separated Team Gently Bentley from Beeswax Racing, with Team Gently Bentley having moved to the top of the table at the previous round at Zandvoort. Neither team was aware that the rule regarding the removal of the worst result also applied to the Teams' Championship, and again this affected the championship and it denied Beeswax Racing the Team Championship. In third place, Visually Impaired Racing finished a solid third, 150 points between themselves and Aston Martin Racing, who came in fourth. Generations Racing finished fifth, and Simulation made a strong charge towards the end of the season and finished just a handful of points behind Generations Racing. So congratulations to Team Gently Bentley, Team Champions for Season 4 of Assetto Corsa GT3. So this marks the end of Season 4 of GT3, with Assetto Corsa Competizione hosted by Apex Online Racing. However, keep your eyes open for GT4 season coming soon, with round 1 at Zandvoort on the 21st of August, followed by a further 5 rounds taking place at tracks around the world. Also on the 29th of August, Apex Online Racing will be presenting the 12 Hours of Suzuka. Beeswax Racing are entering that event with a team of 4 drivers in the GT4 class. But the race itself will be a mixed event with both GT3 and GT4 cars participating, and it's bound to be an exciting 12 hours of on-track action. So please join us to watch both the GT4 and the endurance races, or better still, go and look up the details for Apex Online Racing and join us out on the track yourself. Hope to see you soon. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.